Oh, hi. I'm Paul, and for those of you that have been keeping up with the series, this is, I think, probably the last in the series, the one I've been promising for a while. We just shut off one of my favorite tracks in Music Room 1, Welcome to the Machine, Pink Floyd, from Wish You Were Here. It's a great album, those of you that know it. And one of the things I would tell you, and I know this might sound braggish, and I don't mean it to sound that way, but honestly, hearing Pink Floyd, any one of their tracks, but particularly a song like Welcome to the Machine on this system, is an experience most people have never ever had, period. It just opens a whole new vista into that music because it's powerful, it's big, the speakers are powerful and big, the system is well tuned, and it's really a treat. And I invite any one of you out there, if you are in the neighborhood of Boulder, Colorado, come on by, let me play it for you. We have probably 1 or 2 visitors a week who come in, want to hear the system, want to get a factory tour. We're happy to do it. Love you to come by and see what we have going. I wanted to finish this series because we kind of left it off with the bass problems that we had. It wasn't really finished. We hadn't really installed everything. And now it is. And it's working great, and we're very proud of this system. So I'll show you around and show you what we wound up with, and I'll show you how we got rid of the bass problem, and it's pretty much gone. And it's something that you can do in your room as well. And we'll talk about that. But first, let me tell you about the system. For those of you that didn't see the earlier ones, these are the Infinity IRS. They are the 5s. There are only 58 pair of these ever made in the world, and we're very lucky to have a pair. These were probably made in around 1985, 1984, so they're about 30-something years old. They've got 36 tweeters, 24 on the front. Each one of these little emits is a tweeter. And then there are 24 on the front, there are 12 on the back. There are 12 mid-range drivers. Those are dipoles, meaning that the sound goes out in the front and in the back, and they're kind of like this, moving out of phase. The speakers are a line source, and because of that, they really don't have much in the way of floor bounce or ceiling bounce. And because they're a dipole, with these wings on here, determining the lowest frequencies that can be launched without having any kind of cancellation because of the front and the back waves. Whatever frequencies do extend down low enough over here are canceled, so you don't really get any sidewall reflections either. So it's a pretty cool set of speakers. Behind here, and I'll show you in a minute, there are the woofers. There are 6 12-inch woofers, each driven with a 1500-watt servo amplifier. It's a remarkable system. And as I continue our little tour, I'll take you in the back and show you what we have going. But while we still have this camera angle here, let me just show you what we have going in the rack. So this is the source rack. So we've gone with a really great tube circuit. Yeah, it's an aesthetics calypso. Down here is our phono section. So we have the original GCPH phono preamplifier. And here's the new NPC, the New Wave Phono Converter. And this phono converter hooks up into the Clear Audio Master Solution turntable, which then feeds into the Perfect Wave DAC. And then down here, the whole rack is driven by a P10 power plant. Let's head around to the back, and I'll show you behind the speakers. Back here is a view most people that come to the listening room only get a glimpse of. This is what's driving the whole system. In the woofer tower, you've got this custom Class AB power amplifier. It's 1500 watts, servo driven, and that means that one of the woofers has an accelerometer hooked up to the woofer, and an accelerometer measures the actual motion of the woofer, compares that to the input signal coming into the amplifier and makes up for the difference between the two. So it actually measures the acceleration, the velocity, the movement of the woofer, compares it to the input, and you wind up getting any kind of distortion way down with an accelerometer, and you wind up also getting very little in the way of overhang, problems with woofer. It really is the cabinet size. So only one of the 6 has the accelerometer. All the rest follow exactly what that accelerometer does, powered by this 1500 watt amplifier. The crossover for the IRS is here. This is an electronic crossover, a lot of controls on it. Obviously, you can control the low pass, the high pass, the contours, the volume, everything to do with the woofers. And the system is powered by 3 P10 power plants that you see here. Each power plant is 1500 watts, and I put one power plant on each of the woofers, and then the main power plant is on the system that does the crossover, as well as the main PS Audio power amplifier, which is a new product that we've been designing. Oh, it's taken a lot of time, and I know a lot of you are anxious for the perfect wave power amplifier. It's coming, I promise. I've made some significant progress, and it's coming along quite nicely. So I'm really happy with that. But that's the back. This is the area back here. We have dedicated lines for everything that we do, all of it going back to a dedicated sub-panel in our utility room and back. So let's head over and talk about how we got rid of the bass bump. Okay, so now you're more familiar with the room. You've seen what we've done in here and how we're powering it. Let's talk about bass bumps. You remember in some of the first videos, we worked very hard at building these Helmholtz resonators. You can see them up here, the squares, and they are in all 4 corners. They didn't work. They gave us about a 2 dB dip where we really needed about 10. And, you know, we're not room experts. That's not what we do. We know how to design great audio equipment. Been doing that for 40 years, but building rooms, kind of new to us. And I tell you, I think we built a great room here. I really do. I'm very proud of this room. And if you have a chance to come visit this room, I think you'd be impressed as well. But our experiment didn't work. It was a lot of fun. What we should have done is gone floor to ceiling, and we didn't. So we learned a lot. Wouldn't have changed a thing, because at the end of the day, we always had something in our back pocket. And that's something that you can do in your room if you have the real estate and the permission of your better half to take over the room. So what did we do? We took over the room. We changed the basic position of the speakers and the chairs where we listen to it. So picture a room. You've got a rectangular room, and within the room you have bass modes, and you can see it on a graph well, I don't have a good definition, but as if this is my horizontal, my rectangular room. Here's the ceiling, here's the floor. As the bass frequencies propagate through the room, they get very loud, very soft, very loud, very soft, and they bounce. There's probably 2 or 3, 4 bounces, different frequencies. And the trick is finding a place where the loudspeakers, in particular the woofers, can be placed relative to the listening position that nulls out those bass frequencies. So that's what we've done. Our loudspeakers right now, the Infinity IRSs, are almost halfway into the room, where normally they would be pushed back quite a ways. Now we did that because placing them that far out in the room did 2 things. We got imaging like people rarely get to hear. I mean, the sound stage behind these speakers is amazing. You really need to hear this. But more important, the tonal balance of the room is near perfect now if you are sitting in this chair. So if you move back here, now all of a sudden there's a lot of bass. Move right about here, that bass is gone. And it's not hard to do. You can put on a record or in our case, we did tones, and we swept the room, and we walked with our meter back and forth through the room, found the ideal place within the room for the low frequencies, because in that case, it really didn't matter where the loudspeakers were. Wherever we placed them, the waves would do what they were going to do. And so we found a perfect place here. Then we positioned the loudspeakers for the higher frequencies so that overall we got a great tonal balance that's very even at this position. And this and this. The hot seat is near perfect. The speakers do what they do in the position that they do because of the way that we set everything up. So I don't know a room that I've ever seen that's perfect for the loudspeaker. And this room is not perfect for our loudspeakers, just like your room probably isn't perfect for your loudspeakers. That's okay. You can adjust them. You can move the speakers back and forth and your listening position back and forth if you have that liberty. Now, not all of us do. In my living room at home, Terry says, you can have that area. Do what you do over there and do the best you can, which I do, but it's not a dedicated room. So if you have a basement, if you have the luxury of a dedicated room, use it. Put those speakers where you need to put them. Place the chairs where you need to place. Get the help of an expert if you can. Read my daily posts. We talk about that in Paul's posts a lot, how to do setup and why things work. There are any number of resources. You can email me, paul@psaudio.com. I'll be glad to do what I can. Like I say, I'm not an expert at it. I do know how to set up the room. I do know how to make this work within a confined space, and you can do the same thing. Meanwhile, I think I will sit down and put Pink Floyd back on. Thanks for watching. Bye.